every time I start recording. Oh well. Hey everybody, it's that time again. It's time for Diary of a Physicist Farmgal. My name is Deborah and I'm coming to you from here on my family farm in the foothills of the Arkansas Ozarks, where I like to do all the crafts. I knit, I crochet, I sew, I quilt, I make baskets, I make jewelry, I do needlework. I'll try any craft once and twice if I like it. I am also a professor of physics and astronomy at a local university where I teach classes to physics majors, to people who are trying to get into med school or PT school, to general education students, and also I am a volunteer planetarium show docent, I guess you could call me, and I am heavily involved in women in STEM activities and leadership activities and diversity and inclusion on campus. I am also a third-generation family farmer. I live on 170 acres where I raise grass-fed beef cattle. I raise horses. I have a flock of heritage poultry, which includes turkeys, chickens, ducks, and geese. And I have a retirement herd of miniature horses, miniature donkeys, a miniature mule named Pumpkin, who thinks she rules the roost, and Princess Penny, the potbelly pig, protector of the poultry. And as you can tell from my sweet little co-host, Willie here, whose 4-year anniversary gotcha day was 2 days ago, I am fur kid mom to 13 dogs, 8 indoor cats, and an undetermined number of outside barn cats. So if any or all of that sounds interesting to you, I hope you'll join me as we visit this time on Diary of a Physicist Farmgal. Okay, if you're looking for us on social media, my farm Facebook page is the same as my YouTube channel name. It's Buckthorn Farms, and I post farm-related articles. I post pictures of what I've been working on. I post writing that I do sometimes, and and I show the good, bad, and the ugly of farming. I mean, I don't pull any punches when it comes to that stuff because I don't think it's fair or right to delude people. What do you smell? You're just wanting right up in the camera today. Also, you can find me on Ravelry and on Instagram as Doc Firewoman. And there is a Ravelry group for the podcast, which is Diary of a Physicist Farmgal, where you can find out about Makealongs and giveaways and all that kind of stuff. And we'll talk more about Makealongs in just a second. And you can also find me on Twitter, but Twitter is where I kind of cut loose with my political points of view, and I am a pretty socially liberal Democrat, so if that kind of thing gives you heartburn, probably best you don't follow me on Twitter, just for everybody's sanity. How about? But anyway, so I am hosting several Makealongs, but before I talk about those, I want to talk about a giveaway I'm going to be doing. It is going to be at the end of February. It's the 4th of February as I'm recording this, so at the end of February will be 2 years that I have been podcasting, so I would like to do a giveaway, and I'm going to run it through the comments on this video. So, if you would like to be entered in the giveaway, put in a comment about maybe a favorite or memorable podcast moment in the last 2 years. And if you're a newer viewer, there's plenty of them out there to watch, and there's Vlogmases and Vlogust and all that stuff. And if you're one that's have hung with me, if you're some of my veterans that have hung with me for a while, I'm sure you've got plenty. I'm sure Shirley can write a paragraph. Oh, and Celeste and Miss Mary and everybody that comments. I really appreciate all y'all commenting on the post. But please put down a memory. I'm going to have a prize of some kind, a physical prize to give away. I don't know what all it will be yet, but I will show it before I do the drawing. So yeah, so just put down in a comment of some sort down below. Okay, let's kind of go over my Makealongs. I'm just going to briefly, one sentence, describe them, and I'm going to try to remember them. I've got it pulled up today, so I'm going to try to remember them all. The first one is Creature Feature. Creature Feature is making amigurumis of some sort, and this month's quarterly theme is Up, Up, and Away, which means anything that takes to the skies is eligible for double entry. Next month's quarter, I've already decided, is going to be What's Bugging You. What's bugging you? Because, you know, we need to make some more bugs because Shirley's cockroaches need some friends. Okay, I'm going to make a praying mantis. But anyway, so Up, Up, and Away is this month, is this quarter, which ends March 31st. Bust a Move Stash Down. This is in conjunction with some other stash downs, including Grianaig Creations. Kirsty is holding a stash down. Mine is a little less formal on the yarn recording side. It's gonna be on the honor system. But if you create something with a pattern you owned prior to January 1 of this year and yarn you owned prior to January 1 of this year, you can get a double entry. The next one is the Practical Magic Make-Along, where we are making things that are not apparel items. So things for the home, blankets, you know, anything that's not apparel items, but still have a use, so not toys. Then, how do you eat an elephant? One bite at a time. That has been a very popular one this year. How do you eat an elephant is for us to be able to nibble away daily at those big projects. It's a 2-month period, so January 1, we declared our elephant. I would like everybody to check in if you haven't. Several people have. Just let us know how you're doing because we're halfway through the 2 months. If you're just now finding us, feel free to jump right in. We will switch elephants on March 1st, but you can stick with the same one if you want to. That's fine. I'm probably going to have to stick with mine for at least part of March, I think. Then we have the string along. String along is where we're using thread. We're using thread to make doilies or ornaments or anything that you can use, cotton thread, crochet thread, or whatever for is in there. Then we again have Kit or Get Her Done again this year. Kit or Get Her Done is where if you're like me and you have a little issue with buying kits, it's a good way for you to be motivated to work through them, and I am working on some now. Then we have the January Science Sprinkle. So each month I put up a post about highlighting some of the important achievements of science that month. Not nearly all of them, but some of them. I highlight a woman of science, and then also I put a little do it at home, try it at home experiment on there for you to try. So this month it runs from the 15th till the 15th. So the February Science Sprinkle, I'm planning on working on it on Thursday, so it may go up a little bit early. So those are my make-alongs. I know that, as I mentioned, Kirsty has one. Nikki and Heather from NicNac Knits have several. They have their Sock It To Me and their Scrappy one, and they have a finishing one also. And then Vanessa from A Historian Knits is doing a stripe along, so you can go find that out. And I will mention, because the Science Sprinkles reminded me of it, there is a mystery knit along starting on the 1st of March for Women's History Month, and it is called Climbing Mountains, and it's based on women in science. So the pattern is actually free for the next few days. So if you get it now, you can get it on Ravelry for free, and then it goes up. I believe it's a cowl or a scarf, depending on how you want to make it. So all the prizes have gone out to the Makealong winners that got back to me with their address. So hopefully, I know several people have received theirs, so hopefully I'll hear from the next couple that their prizes have arrived in the mail. I know that Maria's in Colorado, I don't think it had gotten there yet, and they're having some snow. I know there's winter storm warnings over that way. I was looking at the map earlier. We're just getting rain and 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 rain. So, yeah. Anyway, so that is our social media stuff. If you've got any questions, you can find us on Ravelry and post in there. Oh, and I will mention, too, I'm having a seed swap. So if you want to get in on some garden seed exchange, just go on there and let us know what you're interested in and what you have, and we'll see if we can't help you out. So now we're going to move on. You think we're ready to move on, Willie? Yeah. And talk about finished objects. Or take a nap. I'm not sure which. Okay, I have some finished objects to share with you. I have been relatively productive the last couple of weeks. I will say that having my virtual knitting group is helpful because I sit down and focus on makes in the evening. Willie, don't get in that, honey. No, no. Go sit on the cushion. Don't get in my basket. All right. So if you're interested in wanting to know more about the virtual crafting night, let me know and I'll let you know that, okay, Willie wants back up here. So that we're just going to let him be up here. All right. So my first finished object is, I think I showed this last time as a start. This is a dishcloth. This is from the Knitting Wild collection by Teresa Silver or Argent Gal on both Instagram and Ravelry. It is, I was a Kickstarter supporter for her Knitting Wild book. So if you supported the Kickstarter at a certain level, not only did you get a copy of that book, but you got the dishcloth book. So this is a dishcloth called As Far as the Eye Can See. And isn't that texture beautiful? That would be beautiful on a cowl or a little light summer sweater. There's a series of dishcloths inspired by natural places, and this was inspired by the snow geese flying out of a wildlife preserve that she visited. So it's supposed to be like geese in flight. So that is made out of Bernat cotton candy yarn. I'm using up stash there. Nikki, actually from NicNac Knits, gave me this yarn. So that is a beautiful dishcloth, and that has already got the ends woven in it. I'm very proud of myself, and it is going to get washed and blocked. And somebody said, why are you washing and blocking a washcloth? Because it's going in the fair, people. Fair entry number something, 1, 2. We'll just call it number 1. So here you go. Mark that off the list. Okay, I have completed a block for my Marine Life blanket. You saw last time I had done the conch shell and the seaweed, or the coral, and so now I did my narwhal block. So this is a self-drafted little narwhal block that I did. I mean, it's not perfect. Basically, I just found some clip art of a narwhal and kind of pixelated it. You know, looking at it now, I see some things that I could have done differently, like this right here. Maybe I should have smoothed that out, but I think it's pretty cute. And that horn is sparkly because I don't know if you can tell or not, but there's some sparkle in that white yarn. So that is block 17 of 20. So I had 3. I've got 1 I'm working on, so I'm 2.5 blocks out from being done with my blocks. And then I have to put it all together, which is going to be a major undertaking, but I will persevere. This is part of my elephant project. So this is my Marine Life Mystery Knit Along blanket by Yarn Geek Makes, Alex Mickelborg. She is both on Instagram and Ravelry. This is a free pattern set off of her blog. Now this one is not on there because I drew this one out myself, but the rest of them are on there and all the instructions, and she's got some great tutorial videos. She's really does a great job of doing tutorials on corner to corner crochet, which is what the technique is that makes this. So block 17 out of 20 done. Okay, let's see. Also, I made some more scrubbies. These are from Red Heart Scrubby yarn. I didn't get the ends woven in on these, but I just have a skein of it that I'm just trying to use up. And so I just did some plain scrubbies. And then I'm going to go back and use the rest of this and knit it together with some cotton yarn and make a scrubby out of that. So I got 3 of those made. And then my biggie, I finished my Undercurrent socks by Grianaig Creations. So these are the Undercurrent socks. This is by Kirsty from the Grianaig Creations podcast. This is her sock pattern here. It's got a beautiful eyelet texture on it, which you can see there. And these are knit out of a sock blank by Lamb Woman Knits. It was a rainbow gradient sock blanket. I didn't quite make them long enough to get up into the blue. But that's okay. I've got some blue and purple left over now that I can use maybe for another pair of shorty socks or a sock with some contrasting heels, toes, and cuffs. So it's a beautiful gradient and I'm really pleased with it. And then these are some custom sock blockers that were made by Knitting Left, who does a great job with these beautiful wooden sock blockers. And I'll just show you, she took the design from my logo and etched it in. So I've got my tractor and my moons and stars and my yarn ball there. So anyway, so yeah, so that is my final finished object to share with you. So, yay, I finished a pair of socks, and I am warming to the idea of socks. I'm not going to say I love them. I'm not going to say that I'm ever gonna love them, but I am warming to the idea of socks. Anyway, so those are done. All right. That is all of my finished objects for you this week. So now, no! Oh my gosh, no, I'm lying to you. I knew if I set them over here, I'd forget. Let me back that up just a minute. Willie, you got to get down, son, just for a minute. All right. Well, I've actually got a whole pile of stuff over here that I about forgot about. So let me show you these and just forget that part I said about all my finished objects. I finally got around to finishing my me-made project bag. So this is a big one to put Afghan yarn or a sweater quantity in. It's got some beautiful farm animals on it. That was a gift from Miss Mary. Don't get in that basket, please. Thank you. What's in this basket, and I don't believe you'll fit. Then this is another bag that this is actually a gift for someone, so I got that finished. This is a nice planet bag. This was also a gifted fabric to me, so I'm very excited about that. And then this sweet little heirloom looking fabric here is also a gift for someone as well. So I've got to get those in the mail. So now here's my finished object that I can't believe I almost forgot. Well, it should be objects, I suppose I should say. Okay, so first I finished my earrings. I finished my little heart earrings. So I don't know the best way to show you these. Maybe hook them over my finger here. Okay. So I finished my little heart earrings. So they're 3 little crocheted hearts, and then you put them together with jewelry findings and make earrings. So I got those finished. Lay those down there. And then I finished all my snowflakes. This is the Jessica Whiffall Snowfall Cowl pattern collection. I've showed you these sort of as I was making them, but there really wasn't a whole lot to see about them because until they're starched, you can't tell a whole lot about them. But boy, they really sing when they're starched. They really show their true beauty when they're starched. So there's 3 of the 12. Okay, and then this here is the other 9 of the 12. So I'm very proud of myself. I completed all 12 of them and got them starched, and they are ready to put away to be used on my Yuletide tree. So yay me. I'm very proud of all of those. So string along, string along. This is definitely something that would be eligible for string along. A pattern booklet has 6 patterns in it, and then she also has 6 free patterns that you can make from her stuff. And I think the pattern booklet is like a couple dollars. It is not prohibitively expensive. I did a giveaway for it last year before this started, and I may do one again because the NicNac Knits podcast crew and I are thinking about holding a Blizzard in July make-along where we make snowflakes in July. So, because we want to do some ornaments for Christmas, and it'll fit into my string along really well. So I was visiting with Nikki, and she was going to run it by Heather, and I hope she did. I hope I'm not talking out of turn here. So, all right, come on, buddy. Oh, let's go. We're going to make snowflakes in July, so be on the lookout for that. I'll probably have a giveaway for that pattern book again, probably in June, so you can get all set for the Blizzard in July make-along. So anyway, so now I am done, and we're going to move on and talk about works in progress. Okay, I have several works in progress to share with you. Like I said, I have been feeling fairly productive lately, so I'm very proud of myself. The first one is my next block for my Marine Life blanket. You can't tell a lot about it just yet, but it is the oyster with the pearl. And so I am halfway through it. I got to row number 25 last night, so now I am getting ready to turn and go back the other way. So I have completed the increases, and now I'm getting ready to turn and go back and start my decreases. So that's that white sparkly yarn again. So this is the oyster with the pearl, and that will be block number 18 of 20. Only 2 more to go when I finish that one. Okay. Next, we'll do this one next. In an effort to use up yarn, I was talking with my friend Marla, and we were talking and going, you know, sometimes things go around on Facebook or social media and people see them. Well, the reusable Swiffer covers were going around, and Marla asked me if I knew how to make it. And I said, well, let me try to make one for myself. So there is a free pattern on Ravelry. I think it's called the Biffer Shrug, you know, because of copyright. But anyway, so I have started that. I just barely got started on it. But this will eventually fold back to make the pocket that it goes on. So I'm just going to crochet it until it fits my particular Swiffer head. And then it'll be reusable. She even made it where it can be reversible. And I'm going to make 2 or 3 of these because I certainly go through them. And using Swiffer cloths is a flittering waste of money for me because of all the animals just tracking mud in, and I'm tracking mud and who knows else what in, and just, you know, it's just not, it's ridiculous. I'm not going to spend that kind of money. So this is a nice alternative. So that is my first work in progress. Let's see. My next one is one that I just really got started on it good today, but I've talked about making it for a while. So it is the Brigid Hat and Mitts. Oops, I dropped my paper, sorry. It is the Brigid Hat and Mitts, and this is a free pattern from the Willow Yarns website. And the pattern is, let's see, it is by Ray Blackledge. Okay. So I am only making the hat at this point. If I have enough yarn left over to make those mitts, I may make those as well. But it's a free pattern. You have to go to their website to get it. Now, one thing that I've had to do, because for those of y'all who have watched me for a while, you know, and for those of y'all who are new, I'm left-handed, and I knit left-handed. I taught myself to knit, and I am very opposed to people forcing left-handed people to do things right-handed just to make it easier for society to deal with this. Rage on. But anyway, so I'm going to knit left-handed and I crochet left-handed, but what that means is, on this pattern, because it's cabled, I had to sit down and figure out which way my cables lean so that I could change the pattern. So I've made myself some notes there so that I could change the pattern so that my cables would lean the correct direction. And it turns out, if I hold the cable needle in the back, my stitch will slant to the left. And if I hold the cable needle in front, my stitch will slant to the right, because those stitches will be worked last and I'll be going left to right through the work. So you have to think about, I traverse the pattern from left to right instead of right to left, okay? So I had to go through and figuring out from the chart what it was supposed to look like. I went through and corrected the pattern so that I could get my stuff to lean the right way, okay? So I did it for like the first 10 rows, and then as I work through those, I'll do the next 10. That's going to show up again in another one of my works in progress. I'm knitting this out of Blacker Yarns Swan, which is their Falkland wool, Falkland Islands wool, if that'll focus. Come on, you know you want to. It's so dark outside, it may not be wanting to focus. But anyway, and this is a colorway called Tussock. Alright, so Jessica from the Two Sticks and Strings podcast had made this before, and I thought it was really pretty. So I had been wanting to make it for a while, so I just really got well started on this morning. So I'm past the ribbing, and I am just starting on the cabling. Okay, so that's as far as I am. I'm about 10 or 12 rows into the actual hat. So anyway, so that's one working. This was my Christmas Eve cast on. I cast it on Christmas Eve for the We Sew and Sew podcast. And then I kind of put it down and haven't worked on it. So I picked it back up to finally put some time in on it to finish it. So Yeah, and that's in my Kitty Cat's Moods bag from Fat Bottomed Bags. I bought that at my local yarn shop. Knit two together. Okay, so let's see. Let's put that right there. My next work in progress is in my Molly Klein Designs Rainbow Narwhals bag, because you know I love the narwhals and I love the rainbows. This is the Wadsworth Cowl. This is a free pattern on Ravelry, and it is by, let's see, Kyle William on Ravelry, the Wadsworth Cowl. Okay, and it is a quick slip stitch texture. I am knitting this out of some Shave 'em to Save 'em yarn. It's Leicester Long Wool, and these are the two colors from the Rosefield Farm. Okay, and I'm probably going to have to make something else out of these to get my Shave 'em to Save 'em credit, because you have to use 100 grams or 4 ounces to qualify, and I don't know that this is going to meet that criteria. But I'm about, I'm about 1.5 inches away from doing the last rows. So the last time I showed it to you, it was down here where my little horseshoe is, and so I have done that much in the last 2 weeks since we last visited. So it is just a simple cowl and with a slip stitch texture. So I knit this until it's 5 3/4 inches, and then I do 2 more rows of just my plain green yarn, and then I bind off. So like I said, I'm about 1.25 inches out of finishing this. So I may try to give that some love tonight or tomorrow night and get it finished and off my needles, because I've got other cowls I want to make. Alright, so that is Wadsworth, and I'll link all these down below in case you're interested. But I like that because it's a nice free pattern, and it would be a simple knit, or a simple quick gift knit. Okay, my next work in progress is in my Star Trek bag by Silvershed USA. Oh, I need to sit that out. This is the Swirl Doily. Okay, and this is from a circular called Round Doilies that I picked up at a flea market or a garage sale by Margaret Rost. Okay, and I am on round 22 of 27, so I'm getting close. Again, it's thread crochet, so I just got my big ball of thread attached here. And I did not put any kind of marker in this since the last one I showed it to you last, but I was down in here somewhere, so I have made it this far. I'm working on the going around with all the double crochets, the solid round on top of those little rectangles. And yes, I've got cupcake icing on it because it was somebody's birthday and I shouldn't have been working on it. But anyway, so here's the thing, okay? My doily is a low pressure system. It swirls counterclockwise. And the doily in the picture is a high pressure system because it swirls clockwise. Because I'm left-handed, so my doily swirls counterclockwise. So I have a hurricane, I guess. Anyway, so yeah, so I've made some good progress on that. I think when I get around it this time, there's 400 double crochets in this round, so it's taken me a while to get all the way around. But it's going to be really pretty when it's done. I think that that's a pretty design there. Okay, I enjoy making doilies. I think they're neat. It's kind of a dying art, which is a shame because they're really kind of cool looking. Okay, alrighty, so let's see. The next one that I will show you is, let me get a little better organized here, is I have been working on my dragon. Now he's still in pieces, so you'll just have to use your imagination a little bit, but let me get down here to him. Oof. Got everything in this bag where I carried it back here. Oh shoot, I forgot I finished that. Maybe I should look in my bag. I still hadn't found those stitch markers, y'all. I had a dream about them, and I saw them in the envelope that they came in, and I saw them in something that was white and plastic, so maybe that's where they're at. Anyway, I am making the Water Dragon by Crafty Intentions. So this is for my Up and Away entry, and I am working on his body. So there's his tail. I'm up to the point now where I'm ready to attach the legs. Now, you don't sew the legs on, you crochet them in on this. So this is his tail. And then in this bag, I have all of my dragon parts that I have made. I've made all of his legs and arms, which you saw before, and I have made his head. And I have attached my Suncatcher eyes to it. So Suncatcher eyes, craft eyes, had a beautiful set of mermaid eyes, and in the set was a set of 3 types of eyes, and these dragon eyes were in it, and I thought, well, that'll be perfect for my water dragon. And then I also went ahead and purchased eyes for my fire, my earth, and my air dragon. So yeah, so his contrast areas will be done with this color. So it's going to be navy blue and dark blue, but yeah, so I'm up to the point where I'm ready to start attaching the legs and start stuffing the tail, and then attach the arms and the head, and then you make the big wings that stick up. So yeah, so I'm making some progress there. I put him aside for quite a while and just picked him back up not too long ago. So yeah, all right. Now, those are all my yarny things, but I have some stitching works in progress to share with you. I've been watching a new podcast, a newer podcast called Moonshine Crafter. Jules, and she is an avid cross stitcher, and she's also a knitter. And you know, I got into cross stitch was my gateway craft. Okay, it's what I started doing, and then, you know, over the years I'd kind of picked it up and put it down. And when I moved to Oklahoma, I just stopped. That's why, you know, I had the carousel horse that hadn't been finished in a million years. And so I picked it up and put it down, and then I put it down what I guess I thought for good. And then, oh, it's not in here. Excuse me. I picked it up and put it down, and then I decided to start again. And so I finished all of the things that I had started when I moved to Oklahoma. Or when I moved home. I finished the Noah's Ark, which you saw. I finished the Santa Claus ornament, which you saw. I finished a couple of beaded pins, which you've seen if you've been watching me for a while. Then the big one was the carousel horse. And then I had a little cross-stitched card ornament, which I thought was in that bag, but apparently it's not. So I don't know where it's gotten off to. Maybe the house elves have taken it also, or the house fairies. But at any rate, I have refound my love of cross stitch, and I have really enjoyed watching her, and she's gotten me interested in some new patterns. So if everything goes right, on Thursday of this week, I visited with the faculty member whose wife has the cross stitching store in Conway. And I asked if he would see if she minded if I came and did some video and interviewed her, and she said that would be great. So if everything goes right, on Thursday of this week, I'm going to go to the Stitcher's Garden in Conway, Arkansas, and interview Linda Geyser, who is the owner, and show you around the shop. And then talk to her about framing my carousel horses and framing those herb pictures that my mother did for me. I showed those a long time ago on the podcast. So I'm going to try to take some video, and I don't know if I get enough, I'll cut it together as its own shorty video, but if I don't, I'll insert it in the next podcast. But anyway, so I am working on some stitching projects. So the first one that I'm working on is a stitch along from Frosted Pumpkin Stitchery. It is the Animal Almanac stitch along, and it is a monthly stitch along, and the first month is over. So I completed my first month. It was Aurora the Penguin. Okay, and this is stitched on, I believe this is 18 count. I don't remember what the brand of cloth is. I need to be better about that. But this is stitched on their 18 count even weave Ada cloth. And so there's that. And then we just got February's pattern is Reynard the Fox. And I just think that is the cutest thing with his little bathing cap on in the bath there. So I'm going to start that probably tonight. I love this stitch along because it is easily doable. I did not actually start Aurora until the middle of the month, and I still was able to complete her. This is in my April 9 Designs bag. It's a cross-stitching bag, and it easily holds my hoop. And I know not everybody uses hoop. I know some people use Q-snaps, but I use what I got. So I got a hoop. I use a hoop. All right. So that is my first stitching work in progress. Then my next one is the pillowcases that I'm making for Miss Betsy. And I don't even have them in a nice bag. I just have them in a plastic bag, which I need to. I've got enough project bags. I should give them their own bag. But this is a long forgotten kit that I found at the Goodwill. It is Bacilla. These are Magnolia Blossom pillowcases. And I am working on the first one. Let me take it out of the hoop here where I can show it to you. So I am hung up in this thing. Okay, so, well, flitter. There we go. Someone cut this pillowcase open, so it's a little awkward to handle, but I'll get it fixed. All right, so that's how far I am. Okay, I've started on the Magnolia Blossom, and the stem work is done. So I'm making good progress on that. So you can see I'm basically done with this side, and I've done the stem and the part of the center, and I'm working on the flower now. And then I get to do that all over again on the second pillowcase. So yeah, so I'm proud of that. That will be a gift for Miss Betsy, who is, if you've watched any length of time, you know that she is my junkin' buddy. And you've seen her in some videos. She is the one that has the beautiful old house that likes to sort of curate the history of the area. Oh, oof, about to fall off my chair here. Oof, come here. There we go. All right. Then, my last stitching work in progress that I will show you is in my, this is a me-made bag out of periodic table fabric, and it is the pattern called Let's Gallop. Now, if you've been watching me for a while, you remember when I went to the Stitcher's Garden the first time, and I purchased this pattern with the intention of making it as a gift for Marianne. Well, that didn't happen, but it is a pattern by Ursula Michael, and it's called Let's Gallop, and it's mostly back stitching, you can see. Well, what I decided that I would do is do a rainbow gradient in honor of the Rainbow Riders. So I picked out the correct colors to honor everybody, and I gridded off the pattern so that I could do the same number of rows of color change. So this is where I'm at on that. So there's a burgundy, then it goes into a fuchsia, then a red, and now I'm on orange. And then next will be yellows, and then greens and blues, all the different blues, and violet, and then I'll end with black. So there's that. And this is actually going relatively quickly. So I just got the hankering to start on it, and I thought, you know, go ahead and get it started, then maybe you can get it framed and put it in the fair. You know, that's always the agenda, right? Okay. Let's see. I think that is all of my works in progress that I'll show this time. So we will come back and talk about future crafting. Okay, so in future crafting, I'm going to get back onto my Calaveras shawl, which is in this bag by, my brain is losing it. Vanessa gave it to me, and oh, Home Row Fiber Co. Home Row Fiber Co. I knew it was, I could almost had it on the tip of my tongue. This is the Celtic Year Shawl Club pattern, and it is the Calaveras shawl. This was last year's Beltane pattern. Okay, it is now available for purchase now that the club is over, and it is a beautiful one skein shawl. Let me see if I can find a picture of it fully spread out here. No. But you can get kind of an idea of the pattern. It has a beaded spine on it. And the color that it's knit out of is called Spiced Apple. And it is gloriously beautiful. It's Willy Wonka Nimue sock. and it's gloriously beautiful, and I am just barely started, so I'm going to count this as still as future crafting because I'm only on like row 26. But you can already get an idea of the beading on it. Okay? So, yeah. So I think the last time I showed it to you, it was down there by the little flower or the little leaf. So I put a few rows on it, but I kind of set it aside in favor of working on my changes shawl. And I've stalled out on it too, although I think I'm about ready to pick it back up. As soon as I finish that cowl, I'm going to pick these two, I think, back up. Then... in my April 9 Designs 2 at a Time sock bag, because Vanessa and Kirsty assure me that if I knit enough socks, I'm going to learn to like them. I'm coming around to them. I'm coming around to them. I was a member of the Knitting Expat Sock Club, and I'm going to knit the Vagary socks. This was 2018's Wanderlust Sock Club. And this is the Vagary socks, which means a whimsical or roaming journey. And I am going to knit those out of String Theory Colorworks. And I purchased a sock set called W48, and it's colored after a supernova remnant. These socks are going to be self-striping, and they are not going to match. And that's okay with me. So anyway, but what I am going to do is I'm going to learn to do an afterthought heel on these, I think. This is, I believe this is a slip stitch texture, if I remember right. Look at the, yeah, this is a slip stitch texture, so I will be okay to knit these on my ones and not have to use zeros. But I did get me a pair of 0 Chalgoos, so I am ready for that. But yeah, this is a, let's see. Well, no, it's not slip stitches, but it's not eyelets, so I will be okay, I think, on that. So anyway, yeah. So I'm gonna start those maybe tonight. We'll see. We'll see what I feel like working on when I get done with all this. I haven't fed yet because when I got home it was pouring, and so I decided to record first and let the rain maybe move out a little bit because I've got to put hay out and I've got to unload feed. So I thought I would let the rain move out. But that's going to be one of my yarny future craftings. I showed you Reynard the Fox already in my Animal Almanac. So he will also be the next up in the Animal Almanac. So then I'll show you a couple of stitching stitching future craftings. I don't have any sewing ones at hand at the moment. Although I do want to, I've got my sewing area more or less straightened up. One good thing about tearing my room apart looking for those stitch markers is my room is a little better straightened up now. Still haven't found them. Still haven't found the needle minder. And now it occurs to me that I don't know whether either one of those little cross-stitched cards are. So the house fairies or house brownies are decorating their home very well, apparently. So anyway, I found this tablecloth at Goodwill. The weekend we put my father in the hospital before he died with a coma. He went into a diabetic coma. And I found this tablecloth in a bag of craft things that I paid $5 for, and it was full of needlework kits and everything. So this was also in there, and it is almost done. It's got roosters on it and a little barn seam. So the roosters and everything's done on that end. But on this end, it is not done yet. It is stamped cross stitch with some embroidery. So I am going to finish this. There's not very much left to do. There's some work that needs to be done on this little barn right here, and then there's the 2 roosters on that end, and then it will be done. So I want to get this started sooner rather than later because it's so close to being finished. Then when I went to the Stitcher's Garden, I bought another little pin kit. This is a Mill Hill Beads pin kit. And so I want to get her made because I have made the black cat and the little pumpkin with the moon. So I wanted to make her. And then the other things, the other 2 kit things that I will show you is I bought this pattern. I think Jessica from 2 Sticks and Strings showed me this. I got to make this. I want to put it on black fabric. But yeah, you got to make that because I mean, what kind of astronomer would I be if I didn't knit the crochet, cross stitch, cross stitch the space sampler. Yes. And we're going to talk about crochet in just a second. And then the last thing is, this is in a little bag that I got from So Much to Love on Etsy. So is S-E-W. So Much to Love. And it has got a kit. Shocking, I know. This is a kit that I purchased on the Isle of Skye in 2002. And, oh, it's upside down. Thistle stitches. The lady had a home studio, and this was one of her designs. And I even have the little bell pull hardware there for it. I think I would probably stain that before I put it on there so it would look a little more finished. But I'm going to start this. I've got, one day I was sewing, I was finishing up those bags and doing some mending on some stuff. So I sat down and edged the fabric for my Let's Gallop and for this. So this is ready to go. I just have to start it. And according to Jules of Moonshine Crafter, you can have as many whips as there are days of the week per craft. I added the per craft part myself. I don't think she actually said that, but I'm saying that. So I can have as many whips as there are days of the week per craft. Sounds fair, right? Sounds good to me. Okay, I will show you one more, or two more, actually, two more things that I would like to make fairly soon. The first one is the Valentine Doily by Anne-Marie Wilkerson. This is a pay-for pattern on Ravelry. It is a beautiful Valentine's doily that I want to try to make. Those hearts, I believe, are dimensional. I think they stick up. I haven't read the pattern all the way through yet, but there's some texture or some dimension to those hearts. So I'll let you know how that goes. But anyway, I want to make that. And then Penny, who comes in, is a viewer of the podcast and is a supporter, and also is a crocheter and loves to make doilies as well. And crocheted the most gorgeous crocheted heirloom baby blanket. Purchased for me as a gift this Court of the Sun doily. And so I want to try to start that as soon as I can too. So, you know, got a lot of irons in the fire because I don't know how to live any other way. But that's alright. Keeps me busy, keeps me out of trouble for the most part. Well, not really, but I try. Anyway, so that's all of that. I have one or two acquisitions that I will share with you really quick. So let's move on and do that. Okay, I have a couple of acquisitions that I will share with you really quickly. I'm kind of sitting tight until tax time because my dryer has now died. So my washer was acting up, but I've kind of got it sort of working right now. I did a little bit of work on it and got it working. But my goal is to buy a new washer and dryer when I get my income taxes. But, you know, I'm kind of sitting tight right now because I just bought an extra about 50 bales of hay just to make sure that the cattle and horses have plenty of hay to get all the way through until grass really starts coming on. We had some really warm days like Groundhog Day or Imbolc or Candlemas or whatever you want to call it. It was really, really warm. And then now it's cold and rainy again. So you got to keep hay in front of them until you know the grass is coming on. So I've been, you know, trying to make sure I've got hay in front of everybody. And then I have my tractor payment bill that I'm, you know, the repair bill that I'm still paying on. So I'm trying to really be frugal lately until I get my taxes and pay off some things. And then maybe I can treat myself a little bit more. I've treated myself a little too much in the past, so I don't mind having to be a little bit frugal. But I went junking with Miss Betsy. I know y'all are all shocked by that. And at the Battered Women's Shelter thrift store, we have a thrift store here where donations can go toward helping the women in the shelter. You can designate the donations to go straight to someone at the shelter, or you can designate them to go into the shop. And I took a bunch of really nice blue jeans in there, like high dollar designer name, or not, well, not designer, but you know, like Miss Me's and Silvers, that I will never be that skinny again. So I took those in there and donated. But we went in and found I found a bag of miscellaneous craft supplies that was $2. And so in this bag I found a whole bunch of plastic canvas. And some of it was pre-cut to make like coasters, and the person had even started one here. So there's a whole bunch of shapes in here that are pre-cut. There are some other coaster shapes already pre-cut. See those? That's some squares, and then there's some round ones and some hearts. And then there were several books and several large pieces of plastic canvas in here as well. So I'll just show you some of the books that I got. So there's this plastic canvas critter coasters with all these different animals. There is Teach Yourself plastic canvas, which shows you how to do some of the different designs, and I think that one that I showed you came out of this one. Then It's Christmas in plastic canvas. I love that Santa Claus with the deer riding in the back there. And then there were some cross-stitch books in there too. So I got those in that bag. And then also there were some, this is also Leisure Arts, and these are some motifs for the holidays. And another plastic canvas book. An Afghan book. And what I really thought was neat is there is a hand-drawn pattern in here for a quilt design, and it's kitty cat. So someone traced this out on a grocery bag, a brown grocery bag. There's its ears. Okay. To me, this was worth the $2 and then some. And then here's another one that was traced out on the grocery bags. And on this grocery bag, this is a baby quilt. There are shapes for lions and elephants. And a little horse on this side. And someone very carefully traced all this out. There's a giraffe and a camel. Very carefully traced all of these out to do applique for a baby quilt. So I think that that is something that I wanted to help preserve. Plus, maybe I'll make one someday. So that was a rare, that to me was worth way more than the other thing. Well, the $2 is well worth that. And then of course there's a lot of plastic canvas in here, and then I even found in this same bag, I found some doll hair. That'd be good for Santa Claus or Mrs. Claus. And cross-stitch fabric. There is a piece of pink, which is here. I think actually I got these at Marva because they've got the Marva stickers on them. So Marva. Then I found this is a piece that's got printed and it's got the open center on it. And this is the same. It's got a different design on it. And this is the same idea with yet another design on it. And then I found a piece of red. So those were $1/4 a piece. So I'll take those. There's going to be one heck of an estate sale over in here someday in there. Anyway, so that was my goodie thrifting find. Then the little card, which I can't find right now, is was made by a company called Textile Heritage and was put out in Scotland. And I just got to looking them up, and they still exist. They still have the same idea of the little cards and stuff. And I found this. This is a discontinued pattern. This is a seahorse, and it is a cushion panel. So you cross stitch him and then you put him together in the cushion. So I thought that was really cute. So that was really the only major purchase that I have made lately. I've got a lot of things saved on my phone. Like Moonshine Crafter is doing this Sleepy Hollow, this Headless Horseman. And I've already eyeballed the pattern and the kit, the little embellishments kit and the fabric all. And I'm like, you know, waiting to get the washer and dryer squared away, and then I'll see about getting that. So that's all of my acquisitions for this week. So that's all the crafty goodness. So now we're going to move on and talk about science. Okay, so, well, let's see, what's going on in the physicist portion of my life? Well, the semester's rolling along. We are not quite to midterms yet. We started early, so midterms will be in end of February, early March for the classes. And mostly we're just kind of clicking along. I've got some students though that are very excited because we have come up with the idea that we want to build a radio telescope. In my astrophysics class, some of my students came up with this idea because they have to do a senior capstone project, and it's like a large undertaking, and it can be a team effort. And so I said, okay, I'll back you. You know, I'll help you write some grants to get some money, and I'll be your faculty advisor, and let's do this. I don't know anything about radio astronomy, but I'm not going to learn any younger, so let's go for it. So I've got a group that's very excited about that. I did a planetarium show today for a really great group of kids. They were asking tons of questions. And last week I did a planetarium show for a tiny little group. It was a group of Girl Scouts. Their school was out because of the flu. And she was like, I only got 3. Will you still do it? I'm like, of course I will still do it. So I was very glad to do a planetarium show, and I got to interact with the 3 young women a lot and answer their questions. So I was happy to do that. This past Saturday, I taught for the Western Arkansas Master Naturalist. I taught an astronomy class and a meteorology class, both for them. And speaking of meteorology, it's pouring again. So feeding is going to be very wet, probably, is what that means. But that's okay. That's why I got a rain suit, right? But I taught for them and was very happy to do so. Kind of just clicking along. We're reading Thrive by Ariana Huffington in our book group. So I need to get back to reading that. I have a hard time reading, it seems like, because I'm just, when I settle down and I get still at the end of the day, I'm going to go sleep. So I've got to sit down and try to make some dedicated time to read, or maybe I need to finally investigate into getting audio books. Bronx Girl on Instagram posted a great book for Black History Month by read and written by Anna Devere Smith, who's from The West Wing. You may remember her from The West Wing as Nancy McNally. I really want to listen to her read that, so I may have to finally break down and do something about an audiobook subscription. I know a lot of people swear by them, so maybe I'll finally do that. Speaking of Black History Month, I wanted to point out to you that Rachel Cargile on Instagram is doing this really wonderful thing for people who want to understand the history of African American peoples in the U.S. and sort of the arc of their history. She's doing a daily research prompt where she says, go Google this, go Google that. And it's been really interesting, you know, heartbreaking to listen to or to read about some of the things, but it's hashtag Discover Our Glory, and if you go to her page on Instagram, you will find the daily prompts. As I was driving home today, I was listening to Stuff You Missed in History class, and they're replaying several of their archived episodes about for Black History Month, and today I listened to the one about the Freedom Rides, and I was at the same time so proud of these people and so impressed by their strength and their resilience, and so mortified that human beings could treat other human beings the way these people were treated, and mortified that the people in power would allow it, and in some cases even facilitate it happening. That's all I'm going to say, because I don't want to get the details wrong. So if you're interested, just go listen to Stuff You Missed in History class and find the one about the Birmingham, the Freedom Rides, you know, through the Deep South. These people were extremely brave to be doing this in the Deep South. But anyway, so I wanted to mention those things while I was thinking about it. On my way to teach for the Master Naturalists on Saturday morning, it was incredibly foggy, and Miss Shirley asked me the other day for some clarification about fog, because after the devastating helicopter crash that killed several people, including Kobe Bryant and his daughter, she wanted to know what the difference between fogs and clouds were. because some TV stations were saying fog, some TV stations were saying clouds. And so I said, well, I can try to talk about that a little bit. Essentially, the difference is altitude, okay? Fog and clouds both form due to condensation, okay? It forms when water vapor, either aloft in the case of a cloud or close to the ground in the case of a fog, occurs. Now, the condensation happens because the water vapor that's rising up runs into cooler air. A lot of times what will happen on the ground is there'll be a temperature inversion where there'll be a layer of cooler air get trapped underneath a layer of warmer air, and that cooler air will cause the water vapor to condense, and then it kind of gets trapped, you know, not on the ground but low, you know, and that really is hard for visibility. And I haven't read the full actual report of what happened with that crash, but it sounds to me like the visibility must have been really bad. But at any rate, fog is essentially condensation that gets trapped close to the ground, and it can't rise until the sun comes up and burns it off by heating up the air or allowing the atmosphere to become unstable and letting that water vapor continue to rise. Clouds, it's also rising air that rise up for whatever reason, whether it's convection from the heating or being pushed up and over a mountain or due to frontal boundaries causing the air to rise. But in both cases, it's because the air cools to its dew point. Dew point is the temperature at which the air becomes saturated, because cold air cannot hold on to the same amount of moisture that the same volume of warm air can. So when it cools, it reaches its saturation level and the water vapor condenses and it turns into fog or clouds or mist or freezing fog if the temperature is cold enough. And so fog, clouds can form at a lot of different altitudes. They can be low, they can be up to 12 miles. Fog is close to the ground. Okay, so, but in either case, it is the same idea as what happens with a cloud. It's just closer to the ground. So, what I'm going to do is I'm going to share a link on this that talks about the different types of fog. There is ice fog when the air near the ground is cold. There's freezing fog where the air is water but then it touches the surface and it freezes. You know, you can also get fog forming due to fires creating smog essentially. So anyway, so I'm going to just share that link so that you can educate yourself. And the other thing that I will talk about is, since we are in flu season, I want to just mention a little bit about this coronavirus. A lot of people are getting really upset and worried about it. And the fact is, the general public, unless you're in close contact with someone who has it, your risk is extremely low. Now, you have to take the same preventative measures that you take with the flu. You know, wash your hands, wash your hands, wash your hands, okay? Wash your hands, especially if you use a public restroom, if you use a public water fountain, you know, things like that. You know, try not to, if you can't wash your hands, try not to touch your face. Try not to be around sick people, which is not that hard, not that easy to do, especially if you work in an environment where you don't know if people are sick or not. If you think you're sick, be respectful and cover your mouth when you sneeze or cough. And try to disinfect surfaces in the home. You know, they've done some travel restrictions as a result of this coronavirus because the main outbreak seems to be located in the Wuhan province of China. And we are seeing person-to-person transmission. It was originally a zoonotic that went from animal to people. But the coronavirus here is one of those things where you need to, a little prevention is worth a pound of cure, basically. So the CDC's website is being updated constantly with what goes on, and it has lots of information on it where you can read about what's happening. We do have a confirmed case in Arkansas because the person had recently returned from China, and the cases of person-to-person transmission in the U.S. seem to be related to people who are in close proximity to those who've recently returned from China. It is called the 2019 nCoV, so for novel coronavirus. And it is essentially it's a respiratory illness, not unlike pneumonia. So basically, though, hand washing, good, like flu preventative hygiene, and also boost your immune system. Make sure you're getting enough rest. Make sure you're eating well. Take your immune boosters. I drink elderberry syrup. I make my own elderberry syrup, and I make my own elderberry tincture, and I take that, during cold and flu season. So just be aware of that. So right now they're saying that if you are at a low risk, if you are in a group of people that are not in direct contact with someone who is infected, and they are pretty well on top of this virus in terms of the travel ban, to their canceling like study abroad programs and stuff like that. But, and yes, statistically the death rate of this coronavirus is 2.5%, where with the flu it's like point something percent. But the volume of flu cases in Arkansas is 2,000 and something to 1. So flu is something we really do need to be concerned about. Also, too, please do not be a racist jerk. I've seen some people talking about, making these snide comments about people from China or people of Asian descent. Don't do that. Don't do that. Just don't be that person. Don't be that person. And also I saw some people making some racist comments about Shakira's Super Bowl halftime performance too. Don't be that person. That's icky. Don't do that. But anyway, so right now there's a travel restrictions to China, and they're saying face masks are not all that useful. The general public, the CDC does not recommend the general public use them. Basically, just wash your hands. If you feel sick, go to the doctor, get checked out. Basically, it says if you feel sick with fever, cough, or difficulty breathing and have traveled to China or were in close contact with someone with the 2019 coronavirus in the 14 days before you began to feel sick, seek medical care immediately. Call them ahead of time and let them know you're coming so they can be prepared for you. But it's common, a lot of it is common sense. So I guess the reason I wanted to say this is I've seen a lot of panicking. Panicking doesn't do any good. It just doesn't. It's a waste of energy. It's a waste of time. And at the end of the day, you're just wearing yourself down. So inform yourself, educate yourself, and be smart. Be smart. SciShow did a great video about the coronavirus, which I'll link below, and you can look at that. And then I'll also link the CDC information page where they're updating that fairly regularly. We'll hang in there. Take care of yourselves, right? Okay, so that's all I have to say about science for this week. So we're going to move on quickly and talk about farm life. Well, Willie's gone to sleep here, he thinks. Well, let's see. Going on the farm, Penny woke me up the other night because she got out. And I heard the dogs carrying on, and I looked out, and she was standing by the bunny rabbit cages looking at me. And I'm like, Penny, how'd you get out? She was rooting around looking for grubs, and she pushed the fence open. When I built the fence, I built it with the post on the inside to keep something from getting in, and not the post on the outside to keep something from getting out, because I had no anticipation at the time I built that fence of having a potbelly pig. But now I have one. And so got to take that into account. And so I went and bought fence posts and shored up the fence and expanded their pen. And I'm going to expand it again over spring break. So they've got a little bit more room. And also Jacob is coming, I hope, next Thursday, the 13th, to help me move some cages that I bought for my friend Shelly, so I can kind of retool the rabbit area. We had a beautiful, beautiful weekend the last couple of weekends, and so one weekend I expanded the poultry pen, and then this weekend I taught on Saturday, but on Sunday I took my horses back to Miss Mary Ann's. They're back over at boarding school now, ready to get back to work. And Melissa said she rode Bo the other day, and he was pretty good. They were feeling their oats, though, when I went to catch them. They were acting a little too, you know, rebellious and wild. And I'm like, no, it's time to go back to school. But anyway, so I'm excited to get back going on our progress toward dressage season this year. Denise is doing much better. She is back, you know, she's able to drive now. She's got the staples out, so she's going to be fine. So we got to get that going on. But last Sunday, after I got back from taking my horses, I decided it was time to spray my fruit trees. So I had gone by Lowe's. I had been gifted a gift card to Lowe's, and I bought the organic dormant oil spray that takes care of a variety of issues. It's dormant / horticultural oil, and it takes care of a variety of insect and disease issues in fruit trees. And you're supposed to spray them during this time of year before they really start actively growing. I noticed my nectarine tree is already getting pretty good sized buds on it, so I'm like, oh, I got to get these sprayed. So I looked at the other varieties, and that's just nasty. I don't want anything to do with that stuff. So I was glad to find the organic version that is basically mineral oil. And I sprayed all my fruit trees, and you can even use it on your roses. So you can dormant spray your roses to take care of some issues. So I sprayed my roses as well, and so they're all taken care of. Now I do have to spray my stone fruits, my cherries, and my nectarines and my peaches again in about 2 weeks, because they are notorious for pest and disease problems. So it said to spray them again in about 2 weeks. So I did that. I've got plenty of hay to get through till the grass starts putting out. And I have my first baby of the year. When I was putting out hay yesterday, I noticed that Oliver's mother had a new baby. So I'm excited about that. I also noticed a little heifer calf that's looks like she might be getting a little bit wormy, so I'm going to try to get them up this weekend and actually treat her with some pour-on wormer medicine, because I don't want to lose another one that gets sick. So I lost 2, and I don't want to lose any more this year. So yeah, so started planting some garden stuff. I planted mustards, 2 types of mustard, and carrots in some bins out there. I've got some big mineral bins that I use for my cattle, and after they use them up, I drill holes in the bottom of them and make planters out of them. And I'm thinking about what kind of flowers. I've been looking at my wish books, my seed books, trying to decide what I want to plant this year. So I've got to get that going on. I'll probably start my seeds about the end of February. I don't want to get them started too soon, because they get too leggy before I can get them put out. I don't like to put things out until about mid-April, because we can get a late freeze here, and I don't want to go to all that work and then everything get frozen to death. But anyway, so yeah, so that's kind of what's going on there. The birds are all seemingly doing well, and Penny is doing very well. And then also, you know, the rabbits seem to be doing pretty good. I've got to get them kind of rearranged and organized. And, you know, spring break will be here before I know it. It'll be about 4 weeks. I've got spring break, so I've got to figure out what my projects are going to be. But right now, we're just getting along. We're just getting along as best as we can and taking care of everybody. Milo seems to have integrated into the family pretty well. He's still kind of a little bit cranky. I think once I get him neutered, a lot of that will go away. So we're going to take care of that problem sooner rather than later. But yeah, so that's kind of what's going on. Not a whole lot here on the farm. It's just been rainy and dreich, as they say in Scotland. And I'm ready for it to fair up a little bit. We had a couple pretty days, and that made me want some more. But, you know, there'll be a time when we wish it was raining again, I guess, too. So, but yeah, so that's kind of where we're at. I put my shawl out on in bulk so that when St. Brigid came by, or Brigid the Celtic goddess, however you want to call her, came by, she could bless my shawl and bring me a little bit of good luck. So I figure we can use all the help we can get, right? Oh, but anyway, so that's kind of everything that's going on. So I think that's where we'll end it. Now we're going to end it now with a few final thoughts. Okay, so as we're kind of turning toward the days getting noticeably longer, we're turning from Yule to Imbolc here, and the world is kind of almost ready to start waking up, but it's just not quite there yet. To me, these were the in a way, the most uncertain of times, because you think spring's on the way and you relax and then you get hit with a snowstorm. Or, you know, the older animals that have hung in there all winter, that one last cold snap might bring them down. So I always felt that this was a real tenuous time in both my spiritual life and in farming. The transition from the dark of the year to the light of the year, and lighting up all the things, you know, that you need to see, and some of the things you may not want to see, because, you know, my vet always said they always had an uptick of farm calls in the spring when it got light enough for people to see what was going on with their animals. Which, you know, I suppose that's true if you're not really paying attention to them if it's dark outside. So, but anyway, oh, are we tired? Oh, we're so tired. I'm so tired. I'm a good baby. Okay, so I found this piece. It's called A Prayer for Imbolc, and it's called A Prayer for Imbolc. This is a prayer for Imbolc. This is a prayer for resistance, and it's from the Hecate Demeter blog. And I thought it was really appropriate. I had shared it on social media, but I thought it would be an appropriate reading for today. So, this is a prayer for Imbolc. This is a prayer for when roads flood. This is a prayer for the lingering dark. This is a prayer for resistance. We spark the fires to beg the light to return, but we will never really know if it will work. The road may flood. This could be the year it all falls apart. The February rains may be too much. We fire up the forge to bend hard metal to our will, but we never really know if it will work. The road may flood. This could be the year that it all falls apart. The February rains may be too much. We write the poem to express what's inside, but we never really know if it will work. The road may flood. This could be the year that it all falls apart. The February rains could be too much. Imbolc is a chance we take in the dark. This is a prayer for when things fall apart. This is a prayer for when roads flood. This is a prayer for Imbolc. This is a prayer for the lingering dark, and this is a prayer for resistance. Brigid, the goddess of poetry, invented keening for those times when no words were enough. Shall we now keen? Brigid, the goddess of smithcraft, invented the forge for those times when small flames were not enough. What shall we now forge? Brigid, the goddess of healing, invented beer for those times when water couldn't cure the deep thirst. What shall we now toast? Brigid stands in the February rain, a warm flame in her hand, watching the roads flood. She will neither look away from the flood nor extinguish the flame. Imbolc is a chance we take, a chance in the dark. This is a prayer for when things fall apart. This is a prayer for when roads flood. This is a prayer for Imbolc. This is a prayer for the lingering dark, and this is a prayer for resistance. The shepherd goes out despite the rain. The shepherd is the resistance. Without the shepherd, the ewe will miscarry, die in the mud, bleed to death, and deliver the lamb still. The shepherd sees the rain, throws on her cloak, and cuts through the meadow. But she never really knows for sure if it will work. The road may flood. This could be the year that it all falls apart. The February rain may be too much. But still she wades toward the ewe. Brigid sees and holds her flame. Imbolc is a chance we take in the dark. This is a prayer for when things fall apart. This is a prayer for when roads flood. This is a prayer for Imbolc. This is a prayer for the lingering dark, and this is a prayer for resistance. It's Imbolc. It's pouring rain in the lingering dark. The roads have washed away. The ewes are miscarrying, and the forge fire is going out. The poets are throwing down their pens, and the yeast has failed the hops. Who are you in these times? What's Imbolc to you, or you to her? Resistance thrives in the lingering dark, and flash floods bring forth new paths. Put on your cloaks and wade through the mud. The goddess Brigid is holding her flame. The goddess watches and weighs. The embark is a chance we take in the dark. This is a prayer for when things fall apart. This is a prayer for when roads flood. This is a prayer for embark. This is a prayer for the lingering dark. And this is a prayer for resistance. So we put on our cloaks and we go out into the rain and the dark and we wait out and do what we can. We're never sure if it's going to work, but we still have to try, right? That pretty much sums all parts of my life up in a nutshell, y'all. So let's hang in there and keep each other lifted up while we go out into the dark and fight our fights. Anyway, I hope that y'all are all doing good. I hope that you are enjoying your crafting. I hope that you have found something pleasurable in this podcast and that you will come back. I hope. I hope I haven't scared you away. I hope that you will come back and visit with us again. Please feel free to check us out. I love to visit with people. We do have our virtual knitting crafting night that you're welcome to come to. We usually meet for sure on Thursdays and Sunday afternoons, but let me know if you're interested. You can contact me through Instagram or Ravelry or leave a comment down below. And don't forget the Podiversary giveaway, because Willie and I want to give away a good prize, don't we, bud? Willie don't like this rain. He's ready for bed. He thinks it's nap time. See, look at that. He's just exhausted from all of his doings. Anyway, I hope y'all are doing good. So until I see y'all again, y'all be good to each other and take care of each other. And what, Willie? Oh, what do? We peace out, right? Peace out, y'all. Bye.